Right. I think we should go ahead and get started with introductions and folks can join us along the way. So welcome everyone. Welcome to week 2 of In the Kitchen with WorkWell NYC of our Strive for 5 series. Hopefully many of you are joining us in our 5-a-day challenge as well, which is all about eating more fruits and vegetables. And that is what we're going to learn how to do today, making some quinoa stuffed peppers. So on behalf of WorkWell NYC, welcome. We're really excited once again to partner with Beautifully Fed Foods. And I'm going to turn it over to Karen, who will tell you a little more about Beautifully Fed Foods. But before that, actually just want to say we're recording this session and we really welcome everyone's input and insights and experiences, but just to be aware that everyone's views are their own. And we really look forward to having you along the ride with us. So I'm going to turn it over to Karen.
Thank you. Thanks for that introduction, Marissa. Hello, everybody, new and familiar faces. Glad to be here with you all again. I'm Karen Joseph. I'm one of the co-founders of Beautifully Fed Food. We're a collective of 6 women of color committed to eliminating health disparities through food, one delicious bite at a time, because we believe if it doesn't taste good, it doesn't really matter if it's good for you. So we're really excited to be invited to share this cooking demo with you today by WorkWell. My partner, Gretel, is here. She's going to be your chef, and I'm going to be behind the scenes, reading the chats, making sure all of your voices are heard, spotlighting you if by chance you are cooking along with us and you want to show us what's in your kitchen. Speaking of, I invite you now to come on camera if you can. We're a very informal, casual group. We just like to see faces because we're used to doing this in the before time when we saw everybody in person. And it's still kind of weird to look at a bunch of Brady Bunch boxes. But that said, we're happy you're here in whatever way you can be. And I will let Gretel introduce herself and the recipe y'all going to be cooking today. Take it, Gretel.
Hi, good evening. My name is Gretel, and I'm Gretel Urena. And today we're going to be making a quinoa stuffed peppers. So we have an array of different vegetables in this recipe, and we have, of course, quinoa. And some of the benefits of quinoa is that quinoa is a good source of protein. People believe also that quinoa is a grain, but actually quinoa is a seed. And with this also is quinoa is a good source of iron, folate, magnesium, and zinc. So you have a good power punch of vitamins and minerals that are very good for you. Also, the recipe calls for asparagus. We have carrots, which are good in beta carotene. We have mushrooms, and mushrooms are anti-inflammatories. And we have also garlic, and as you know, garlic is antiseptic and it's antibiotic as well. And with that, we have fresh tomatoes and tomato sauce. And tomatoes are a good source of vitamin C, as well as a big source of lycopene. And from the herbs, we have parsley and basil, which those also are very good for our bodies. So we are going to get started. First, we are going to chop all of the vegetables. And the first thing I'm going to do is actually cut the carrots in very small pieces. So basically what I did is I took the carrot, cut it in half, and then that I will lay flat on the board, and then with my knife, I'm just going to cut it like in small sticks. And once we cut them in sticks, then we're just going to group them together and then just slice them across, and then that will create small little cubes. So this is a good way to dice a carrot. You can also, if you feel like you like to see the vegetables in a bigger size, you could feel free to actually cut them a little bit bigger, if that's your liking.
Gretel, did you grow up eating stuffed peppers or making them?
Yes, but the way that my mom used to make it, she made it, it was meat based.
Yeah,
So
that was mine.
pretty much, yeah, it was with the rice and the meat. So I actually decided to change it up a bit because vegetables are good for us and they're delicious as well. So
Awesome.
yes, instead of the rice, I used the quinoa, but of course, these recipes are designed in a way that you could use whatever you have in your pantry.
Yeah.
So if you do not have any quinoa, you could substitute. You could use barley, you could use farro, you can use brown rice. You can use kamut, which is something that is a grain that looks like rice. It's very delicious. Wheat berries, buckwheat, anything that you have in your pantry, you could definitely use in this recipe. And this recipe also is considered like one of those recipes that if you want to get rid of a lot of things in your fridge, a lot of veggies that they may have a few days left of life, you can use any type of vegetables in this recipe. Yes. So
yeah,
now,
Heidi also shared in the chat that quinoa is kosher for Passover, so it can be eaten, which is really good. Thank you, Heidi.
Thank you. So now I am going to actually cut some asparagus, and I'm going to very finely cut them or slice them. Not too big because I want to just keep everything the same in the same uniformity, so that once we put everything in the pot and put them in the stuff the peppers with it, we have like a similar size by size of vegetable. We don't want to have a big piece of something and then a little small piece of something else.
Uniformity is key. Cool.
Yes. And
anybody else here stuffed peppers or any other stuffed dish that they made as a kid or as an adult that this is familiar to them in some way? Feel free to share in the chat or come off mute and talk to us. We don't bite. Unless it tastes really good. We don't bite. No.
And next, I am going to chop the tomatoes. And also with this, I am using Roma tomatoes today, but you could definitely use any tomatoes that you have. If you happen to have cherry tomatoes in the house, use that. You can just cut them up and use them. If you have the big salad tomatoes or the big steaks tomatoes, you can use them as well. As long as, again, this recipe is very versatile and it's for you to use whatever you have in your pantry. So I am actually removing the seeds from the tomatoes because I actually don't want them to water down the quinoa when we are putting it together.
Yeah, that'll make it really wet, right?
So what I did, I just cut them in quarters.
Okay.
And then in the middle right here, I'm just slicing them very carefully so I don't slice my fingers. And once I remove all the seeds, then we're going to, again, cut them in the same manner that I cut the carrots. So we have small cubes of the tomatoes. And with the seeds, you could actually, now is the spring. So what you can do, you could actually take them, remove them, and you could put them through a sieve or a colander, rinse them off, and then you could put them in a napkin, wrap it up. A wet napkin, a paper towel wrap. Put it in a baggie and set it aside. And then you could have seedlings and use that to, you could grow your own tomatoes.
Wait. Back that up and say that again. I think I missed it. How do we grow our own tomatoes? What is it that we do exactly?
You were actually, you need to get the seeds clean from here. So the ones that are clean, put them in a sieve. And then
so the seeds that you just took out of the tomato, the seeds you have to the side there.
Yes, you could use them for that purpose. Yes.
So what is it that you do? You take those seeds and then what?
I put them in a paper towel, a damp paper towel. Well, I lay them out and then I just fold it, put it in a plastic bag, a zip-up bag, and then kind of put it to the side in a warm place for 2 to 3 days. In between, you spray them if they're dry. Then you take them out and you spread them out, and you see that they start to sprout.
Really? They'll start to
Yes.
sprout in that plastic bag.
Yes. Then
Wow.
after that, after they start sprouting, you plant them.
Okay.
Yes, in your pot, and you watch them grow.
Look at that, y'all. Did you see? So not only are we teaching you to cook, we're teaching you to grow things. As you can tell, I'm not a grower. I want to be though, so I'm listening intently. Thank you, Gretel. And from what I remember from, listening to other folks share with me about growing your own veggies, is that you want to start with something that's like organic, or something that is grown well, grown organically without pesticides and such. So be sure, if you are growing your own things, that you start with something that is well. And this is science, starting at germination. Thank you, Lean. Everybody's chiming in. I love it. Okay, as you were, Gretel. Thanks for letting me interrupt you.
So as you've seen, I actually cut the tomato crosswise, and we call this julienne.
Okay.
A fancy term used by the French. So after I julienne the tomatoes, then I'm going to, just the same manner I did the carrot, just cut them down to have uniformity and have little cubes. And I will actually show you how it goes. Okay, just one moment. My apologies on that. Something came up on that camera. Are you able to see as I'm cutting?
Yep, we can see. As a matter of fact, I should let everybody know you should be able to see two different camera settings for Gretel. One, which is just mostly her face looking at us, and then the other, you could see her hands, and a bird's eye view of the cutting board, so you could really see in detail as she's making that dice of the tomatoes.
And almost done with this. Over here. Well, these tomatoes were nice and bright, which is good.
If anybody missed it, the link for the recipe is in the chat. I'm going to paste it again.
Okay, so another ingredient that this calls for is mushrooms. And with our mushrooms, I'm just basically, they already are sliced. So I'm just going to do a rough chop on them. Because as we cook them, they tend to, because they have a high content of water, they tend to cook down and kind of reduce in size. So with them, again, just a rough chop will do. For me, mushrooms is one of my favorite vegetables. They are very versatile, very meaty like.
Yeah.
For those who may miss meat or would like to give up meat and substitute for a vegetable, I think this is mushroom is the perfect vehicle to do so. You can cut them up in small pieces, make different sauces with it, and usually mushrooms they tend to have a lot of sand, I guess, for the way, not sand but like dirt, because of the way they grow. But to clean a mushroom is pretty simple. You take a wet cloth, just wipe them, because they have such a high content of water. It's not good to actually rinse them in a lot of water because it will absorb all that liquid. So especially you do that if you want them to be crispy. You need to make sure that they are dry, that there's no extra liquid on top. And next, I am going to do our onion.
Yeah. Greta, when you do the onion, if you could have folks pay special attention to when you do the bear claw, because who was it? Deborah was saying in the chat that she's never been able to cut things so small because she's afraid that it'll include her.
The knife. Well,
So,
the one,
yeah.
the one good thing, believe it or not, you would have to have a very sharp knife. I know that some of us may be afraid of a sharp knife, but actually the dull knife is the one that hurts you. Yeah, a sharp knife would make it easier for you to cut your vegetables, and pretty much will give you that ease. The way that I mentioned before, the way to hold a knife, actually it'll give you control over the knife. So the best way to do it is to grab a hold of the handle tight, especially grab it at the base, like right here. Then you take a hold like this, so you have more control. Never do this with a finger, because that will actually put a strain on your wrist, and it actually will hurt you more. Now, I cut the onion in half. After you peel it and do everything, you cut it in half and lay it flat, so that will give you a base. It won't move as you do it. Leave this part on, because that will also help you in the way that you dice your. This is what we call the house, or that's what I call it, the house. But just hold it in this manner, because that way you also have control of the onion, and your hand may not slip or anything like that. So we're going to cut lengthwise, and if we want to cut them small, we actually just slice as close as possible to one another, and then we are going to cut across, but not all the way. And see this, and then what they call about the bear claw, this is the claw, the bear claw. You are going to put your 2 fingers on top right here, and the one in the back. This will actually give you a guide. As you can see right here, it will give you a guide on how to cut the onion, and then you use a rocking motion. Don't go down across. The rocking motion will give you more control on the knife, and it will actually help you keep a balance. Was that helpful?
Yes.
Yeah, thank you.
Okay, I'm happy.
Gretel and Karen, a question came into the chat. I think it came directly to me, so I'll ask you both. What can you use instead of mushrooms if you don't like mushrooms?
You could definitely use zucchini if you like summer squash or zucchini. You can use if you like tofu. Tofu would be a good substitute as well, or tempeh as well. So those would be my suggestions.
Yeah. Whatever veggies you like, put them in there.
Pretty much, Karen is right. Whatever veggies you like, you could definitely use.
Yeah, I know when my mom made stuffed peppers for us growing up, she also used, but she used it as an opportunity to just like use up whatever veggies were in the fridge that were languishing that might go bad. She'd just throw them all in there, and it was always delicious. So yeah,
and that's basically the best thing to do, pretty much, Karen.
Somebody asked, what type of mushroom is best for this recipe? What mushroom are you using, Gretel?
I'm using regular white button mushrooms, but you could use baby bellas, you could use portobellos, which are the big ones. You just need to cut them. Since you're cutting them up, just cut them in the same. Since portobellos are bigger, you are able to slice them the same way that we did the carrot and we did all of the other veggies.
Wow. So I'm going to pause for just a moment, Gretel, because there's some amazing stuff happening in the chat right now. And I want to take a moment to just let you all know how much we love it when you all engage with us, because we learn so much from you. And so what's happening in the chat is when Deborah said that she was afraid of cutting off her finger while cutting, someone offered lean. Is it lean? Lean? Say hello. Lean. Hi, Lean. She suggested a cutting guard, and she said that you used it for your son before, right, Lean, who's young and loves to cut?
No, I did mention it, and since I know about it, so I found a link for her to see an example of that.
It's great.
So, yeah, it was Lean who sent a link, and the link is in the chat for y'all who are looking. And
Thank you.
Heidi was one who was saying that, Deborah, you can buy a finger guard. She used one for her son, and now Lean suggested one to buy. So this is how it works, y'all. sharing.
And it's $6. It's amazing.
It's $6, and I've never seen such a thing. I didn't even know it existed. Didn't even know.
I
So that's
actually
really
saw it not too long ago, and I was wondering if, but
So-
actually, I'm glad that that at least I know someone that has used it and recommends it.
Look
So,
at that.
yes.
The one that is in the link, it goes over like one finger, like maybe your
It looks like a
finger.
ring, right?
And yeah, it looks like a ring, but it protects like your 3 middle fingers.
Mhm.
It's pretty cool. Anyway, fun stuff. Right, keep sharing. Keep the knowledge coming. Loving this.
We like that. So the last that I used here is just I took some basil and I just kind of went across just to create little ribbons. So we're going to be using the basil shortly with everything else. So now we're going to start cooking. And I'm using my trusty hot plate right here. It's not someone asked in the last class, but this one is not it's not one of those induction hot plates. This is a regular one, so it will burn you if you put your hand on it. So I need to keep that in mind.
Right.
So I am going to now add this is about 2 tablespoons. I'm going to divide it. The recipe also divided, so I'm just going to use half of this oil and cover the bottom of the pan with it. And let it heat up. So this recipe, actually, we're going to do 2 things. First, we're going to cook the vegetables with it and then mix it in with the quinoa. And then we're going to make a tomato sauce. And then with that, we are going to put the peppers in it and cook it. We're going to do everything on stovetop. For this recipe, you could also put it in the oven if you feel that would be a better thing to do. Also, we will be making the sauce. However, if you are in a time crunch and you have some jar spaghetti sauce at home, you can definitely use it as well as a shortcut. So we are going to start with the onions. And we are going to let them saute. Oh, smells so good over here already. Just onions. So we let it be a little, let it cook for about 2 to 3 minutes until they sweat.
Look at this
It
thing.
is. I know.
I love it. I can smell it.
I'm sure you can. Now I am going to put, this is 2 cloves of garlic. Actually, my garlic, what I do, I get a whole bunch of it. I peel it and then I put it in through the food processor and I make my own paste.
Paste? Oh, look at that.
Yes. You can also, if you have fresh garlic at home,
That is
and
brilliant.
you want it very fine like this, you can also use a small grater, like the grater that you use for the cheese, for the small one, the small fine shred on it. You could use that. That also is another way that you actually use up your garlic instead of trying to chop it up with a knife.
Brilliant.
So now you can, as you can see, it's kind of the onions is turning a little brown. So we are going to add the carrots. And I'm adding the carrots first because this is the vegetable that will take the longest to cook.
Gretel, your sound all of a sudden is going a little out.
Oh, does it sound better here?
It does now. Stay
Okay.
there.
I just wonder if maybe I got too close to the other camera. Okay.
This works.
So definitely.
Mhm.
So we'll let it kind of cook a little bit, and then next, we are going to add the mushrooms. And then as you see, once the mushrooms start cooking, how they will reduce in size, and then you will see how the pan is going to get a little bit of moisture coming from the mushrooms.
What's the flame you have on the pan, under the pan? How high is it?
I have it on high, which is 9 for this here. Because I actually want the stuff to sear
Right.
and not to kind of boil.
Or steam.
So, or steam, correct.
Where it doesn't
So,
collapse. Yeah, that's what I thought. Particularly when you're adding mushrooms, y'all, because mushrooms do bring water. And so you want to have a high temp to make sure that you like brown it.
exactly. And then that's why I'm not even touching it. I'm letting it, because the more you stir it, the more the moisture draws out of it. So I just let them be, maybe another minute or so, then I'll stir it again. And then we will continue. Okay, so here we go.
While we're waiting, is anybody cooking with us? Who wants to share what they're doing, what they're cooking? Even if you're not cooking this dish, cooking classes, which we also love because we just want to cook together. So please share. What are you making, if anything? And if you were here with us last week, what did you make the dish? And if you made the dish on camera with us, how did it come out? So you get a chance to taste test with y'all. So talk to us in the chat or come off mute and share.
And now I am going to add
Adrienne is cooking
the
a
asparagus.
Gretel.
Oh, she is. She's making the same dish?
Making the same dish. So
oh, great.
We're cooking like for you. So anytime you have a moment where we're too far ahead of you or you need us to slow down to explain, please interrupt us. Let us know.
Please do.
Keep up. I'm only at the point of adding the onions and the garlic. So now I'm getting ready to add the other stuff.
Awesome.
Okay.
Uh-oh, your dog is smelling the food too, Gretel.
Oh. He's not allowed in the kitchen.
He's hoping.
Oh my God. No, he's not allowed. Well, thank you for, because I didn't even notice it, because he is definitely not allowed in the kitchen.
Sniffing, I can see him.
You saw the minute you noticed him and I looked at him, he ran away. he knows.
I don't belong. What? She's distracted, so.
Yeah, so let me try it. Like you say, it smells the food.
Love it.
So this will be it for the veggies. I am going to actually shut off the fire.
Mind us again, all that's in the pot right now, got the mushrooms.
So right now we have carrots, mushrooms, garlic, and onions as well, and the asparagus. That's pretty much what's there. Now this here is about a cup of cooked quinoa.
Okay.
And quinoa, like I mentioned at the beginning, is just a seed. People think it's a grain, but it's not. And I pre-cooked it because of course it takes some time. And the best way to, it's simple to cook. The one step that you should take at all times when you do cook quinoa is to rinse it very well. Because if you do not rinse it, it will have like a bitter taste to it. So just make sure that before you cook it, you rinse it well. And it is 1 part quinoa to 2 parts liquid. I like using vegetable stock when I'm cooking my when I cook the quinoa. So that's what I actually use with it. And as you can see,
flavor to it, right?
Yes, it does too. And as you can see, it is very loose. It is very delicious. And it's very versatile. You could do many things. You could have a stable, you could have a sweet. There's tons of things that you could do with quinoa. And of course, if you don't like rice, you can give quinoa a chance. So now I'm going to take all the veggies that we sauteed and we are going to mix it with the quinoa. And we are actually, just to save on dishes some time, we're going to use the same pan So you don't have to go crazy trying to wash it, of course. If you feel that you want to, I will take paper towel and wipe it, but you could use. I'm going to now put a little bit of the parsley, and I put it at the end so that it doesn't cook through, and a little bit of the basil as well.
And this is fresh
And-
basil, right?
Yes, it is. But if you do not have fresh, of course, we advocate for dry herbs. They're just as good. The only thing is that you might have to use a little less when they are dry because the flavor intensifies in the drying process. And I am actually going to put the tomatoes because I didn't put them while they were cooking because I want them to try to hold the form.
Nice.
And we are going to cook this dish first. So you don't want to make sure that you overcook it. And now I am going to taste it a little bit because as you saw, I didn't put any salt and pepper as I was cooking. So I am going to just taste it. I'm actually not in a good thing of using too much salt. That is for my own purpose. Because I hypertension runs in my family. And I usually am very mindful of the salt intake. Okay. This tastes really good by itself. Believe it or not. I am going to put a little bit of salt on top. Actually, I feel you could eat this just like this.
Yeah,
And then we're
wow.
going to set it aside and let it cool a little. And while we do that, we are going to get the peppers ready. So these are two nice red bell pepper. I already washed them. And I'm just going to cut across. And get everything from inside. Just get all of the veins out and make sure that I make like a little, I used to call it a little boat, just to have the space to put the stuffing in it. I am removing the veins because they're actually very thick in this pepper. And if also you do not have red peppers, you could use any other peppers you have. I actually prefer the red peppers because I feel that they're sweeter in taste. But by all means, you could use green bell peppers, you could use the yellow ones, you could use the orange. And there's even a purple one that comes out around the summer at times.
What?
Yes, it is purple. And the inside is actually green, but outside it looks purple. So hopefully you've seen. This is the way I'm cutting it because we don't want slicing our fingers off.
Adrian, how are you doing? Where are you in the process? Are you still making your stuffing, or do you have the peppers? Are you prepping your peppers?
I am doing the sauce, putting the stuff in the pan for the sauce.
Oh, very good.
Nice. There's a sauce?
Yes, that's what we're going to make next. So I am going.
Adrian, you're ahead of us. Nice.
Oh, I thought she did that already. She cleaned out her pan. So
No, I'm cleaning it out now. As you can see.
so behind.
No, nothing to be sorry about. You know, just we'll catch up.
I can slow down and cut the peppers now then.
Very good. Eureka is asking, are the purple peppers sweet?
I'm sorry, what was that? I couldn't hear you, Karen.
Peppers. Are they sweet in taste? Are they sweeter than the
The
red?
purple ones? No, they taste just like the green peppers.
Yeah.
They don't have any. I do not know why they turn purple in the outside, because usually when you put them inside, they're just green. It's just, I guess a mutation on the green bell pepper, but the flavor is just like the green ones.
Oh, in answer to your question, Eureka, no, they're not sweet, but they're pretty. They're good.
Yes, they actually just make a pretty plate. Okay, so now I am going to stuff the peppers.
We're stuffing peppers. Ooh,
And just you pack it in.
you're being generous with it too.
Yes.
Gretel, can you
And-
bring your bowl closer to where the pan is so we can see you?
Sure.
Yeah, even better. And then, yeah, move the hands out of the way even more. The handle of the pan. Yeah, there we go. Perfect.
Okay. And look how beautiful this looks.
Ah,
Just the stuffing in itself.
colors.
And I am just going to stuff the peppers and set them aside. And then we are going to move on to making the sauce.
Yum. I love sauces, girl. I live for sauces. Anything I can like dip something into makes me very happy. So I love that this includes a sauce I did not know.
Usually, well, I'm not sure, like, growing up, Karen, how your mom made it, but my mom used to always make it with a nice sauce.
He did.
Um,
When I would have it out, when other people would make it, they didn't always make it with sauces. And my mom made it
Okay.
with sauce. So yeah, I thought we were unusual about it. So yay. Yeah, sauces are important. And this is going to be a marinara sauce too. Can you tell us about the sauce?
I'm sorry, Karen, I couldn't hear you again. I'm not sure what happened again with the
I was
sound.
asking if you could tell us a little bit about the sauce that we'll be making.
It's just a simple tomato sauce, like kind of based with flavor with garlic and basil and oregano and all of that good stuff.
All that good
It's
stuff.
just as simple. That's why I actually said that if you want to, you're in a rush or you just don't like to make the sauce, you could always substitute with like a jar of spaghetti sauce. And you could also make this your own. You could add any flavors that you like. As far as the sauce, I'm making it more like a spaghetti sauce, but if you like to put a touch of curry in it, why not? If you like to, yes, just make it. This is your own.
Curry
Yes.
with the tomato or separate? Curry instead of
I would actually do it with the tomato, but again, it's your liking. So I know that you might want just the curry in it. That would do too.
folks, we'd love to hear from you, or if this dish is inspiring you, what sauce would you pair with this? What would you do? And if not tomato sauce, what kind of thing would you do with this? We'd love to get your ideas too. Curry makes me happy. Curry with cinnamon, maybe a little bit of yogurt.
That sounds delicious, Karen.
Yeah, it's a whole mood. Okay, what do you have in the pan so far? Some more of
I
your,
have some garlic.
what kind of oil?
I use avocado oil. That's the oil that I use in the house. But you could also use definitely whatever oil you have at home.
Yeah.
You can use if you like olive oil, just in any oil that you would like. Then I just put a little bit of tomato sauce. Yeah. And some vegetable. I'm sorry, vegetable stock. We were talking about oils, and all of a sudden oil came to my head. But yeah, this is just vegetable stock. This vegetable stock is salt-free, and this is actually the vegetable stock I make for the house, which I mentioned earlier. Take all of your scraps from your onions and all of the things, as you saw me, I put it to the side because I don't throw those things out. I actually use it for to make my stock, but I don't put salt in it. And just to make stock, you get all of your aromatics. You put it in a pot, boil it with water. You let it simmer. Let it cook down for about half of the amount of liquid that you have. And that's
Yeah.
it. So I put a little bit of salt and pepper in here, a little bit of dry oregano,
Mhm.
and also some parsley
Mhm.
and some basil. And it's already simmering, so I am going to lower, put it like maybe in about a medium. And then we are going to put in the peppers. And you actually just, I'm going to do them stovetop, as I mentioned earlier, but you
Ah,
could again put them in the oven if you like. And
pretty this is, everybody. Look at that.
I am going to cover them so they could cook through. I'm gonna leave that for about,
As you're cleaning up, I'm going to read some stuff from the chat.
okay.
Heidi wants everybody to know that purple peppers actually turn green when you cook them. Look at that.
Oh, it's good. I never actually cook them. I eat them raw.
Yeah,
I
I
actually put them in salads and things like that. But I have never actually sauteed them.
Lean says for her sauce, she would use turmeric, cumin, and coriander.
Ooh, that sounds
Very great for, what's the term I want to use right here? The fact that you are, sorry, y'all. My mind is escaping me. But it's the idea when these are spices that are very, the spices that Lean just suggested, turmeric, cumin, and coriander are all spices that are really good for inflammation, or anti-inflammatory spices.
Yes.
So, Evelina, since she loves the idea of adding curry to tomato sauce, she uses a lot when making her sauce. She also always adds like fresh tomatoes and other veggies. And Deborah wanted to know how to make vegetable stock from scratch.
Oh, well, pretty much the ingredients that I use is onions, carrots. When leek is in season, I like to put leeks in it. And the onion, carrots, and celery.
Mm.
Yes, that I make it pretty simple. I know that other people put other stuff in it. So when let's say when I'm cooking and I'm cutting up onions, the ends I leave. Some people actually use the skin, and the skin is not bad to use. You just turn it a little bit darker in color. So sometimes you see a vegetable stock that looks very dark. It's probably because it was made also with the skin of the onion, which is not a bad thing. In mind.
So do you have to make sure that they're organic onions? Does it matter?
Well, I usually yeah, it is best if you could get it, but you could also a trick that I learned from growing up with my mother. What she does is that, like what I do once to wash it is put a little bit of some sort of acid in it, either white vinegar or lemon juice, and it could be that even bottled lemon juice. I usually use that for cleaning purposes and for washing. Like when I use meat, we are Caribbeans, are very we're very keen on washing our meats, and blacks and Caribbeans, there's no such thing and you taking the meat out of the tray and putting it in your food. That's a big no. So usually I use that level.
Vinegar out, get your lemon juice out. People here know what we're talking about. Yeah. And, go ahead.
No, I was going to say, so the same principle with the vegetables. You could just fill a basin with some vinegar or lemon juice, and then just soak your vegetables there for a few minutes. I was like about 5 minutes or so, rinse them out, and then you use them that way. That's one of the things that I do.
Soak them in a little bit of acid, little vinegar or lemon juice before you add them to the pot for stock.
Yes.
Yeah, and then the technique for adding them to the pot for stock is you add all your veggies, you cover them with water, fill up the pot, bring it to a boil. How long do you let your veggies?
I usually cook them for about an hour and a half to 2 hours because I like the concentration of the flavor.
Yeah.
And I also, one thing that I use is allspice, or pimento, as they call it in Jamaica, as I know.
Pimentos.
I actually, to me, I think it gives it a nice flavor, so I just put it in there.
Yeah.
That's a choice for you as well. Okay. So now we're going to check on our peppers.
Cool. Oh, about the
Yes.
pepper. Go ahead. Open up the pot. Someone was asking what's the technique for doing this in the oven? Do you do it the same way in the oven?
Same way, yes. Just pretty much what you will make your sauce. If you make it in an oven-proof pan, you just keep them in the pan, and instead of covering the pan, I mean the pan actually, I'm sorry. You will put them in the oven, just open, and then you will cook them, I would say maybe for about 20 minutes until the peppers are, I don't like peppers to get too mushy, like too done. So yeah, I actually like them to have a firm bite to them. And also once they're served, I'm keeping it just simple. I'm just going to put a little herbs over the top, but you can also put some cheese if you like, if you eat dairy, or if you are vegan, you could also use some vegan cheese. That's another way that you could actually serve it as well. Not serve it, but actually top them. If you're going to cook them in the oven and you would like a little crunch, you can take a little bit of what do we call it? Breadcrumbs. Just sprinkle the breadcrumbs, especially the panko tend to be a little bit thicker. Just sprinkle a little bit of olive oil or the avocado oil, so if you're using that, and seasoning to your liking, and put a little bit of the fresh herbs that we have, and then just sprinkle that in the last maybe 5 minutes of cooking. And that would also give it a nice coating with a crunch. So those are like options that you can do when you are using the oven.
Totally. Yeah, Marissa loves the idea of putting cheese on top before it goes in the oven, so it gets everything all nice and melty.
Yes, I can see that.
Going back to the conversation about veggie stock, making your own. Patricia was asking if you were talking about like cleaning your veggies beforehand. If you have the option to do that, not everybody does it. You don't have to, but you mentioned to clean your veggies beforehand, you would just put a thing with some vinegar or some lemon. Patricia's asking, could baking soda also be used to clean the veggies before making stock?
I actually haven't used it, but baking soda is very safe, so I don't see why not.
My only concern would be making sure you get all the baking soda residuals out of it before you put it into boil, because it could alter the taste of the stock. That'd be my only.
Yeah, that's true also. Yeah, very true.
Even if there is some remnant of the vinegar or the acid, that lends itself well to like a tasty, flavorful stock, versus the baking soda might not so much. Alice wants to know why you use cheese if it's supposed to be a healthy meal.
Well, cheese is not unhealthy, just in moderation. Remember, the cheese is actually full of calcium, vitamin D, and all these things.
Exactly. Yeah, we don't believe in demonizing foods, especially natural foods, for sure. And cheese isn't for everybody. For some people, cheese really does cause them harm.
That's true.
You know, where people are lactose intolerant and all sorts of stuff. So if that's you, don't use it. But if it's not you, enjoy it. It tastes really good.
And that's why I said it's up to the person as well. And that's why even I mentioned the option of using vegan cheese if you do not eat any dairy. They do have a lot of good options out there for vegan cheeses that are very good for you as well.
And also taste good. Vegan cheese long way over the course of the time when you shouldn't even call it cheese. Like, what do you mean?
I remember those days.
Go ahead, experiment, have fun with that.
And basically that's what the kitchen is. It's just for you to come in and just experiment. If it doesn't work this way for you, you can adjust it to your liking. This is a blank canvas. We just we give you some instructions, and but you could make it your own in any way that you want.
Exactly. Yes, Gretel, yes.
Okay, so look at these beauties.
Yummy.
And actually, I am going to now get them ready to serve. Let me just shut it off because I personally don't want them to get too done.
Yes, lean nutritional yeast can be added too in place of cheese if cheese isn't to your liking. Good point. Nutritional yeast does taste cheesy, y'all. Try it.
That is actually a really good idea too, because actually nutritional yeast does have a cheesy taste. And it doesn't have all the fat of the cheese. So let me grab
Out.
this and this.
We lost.
A little technical difficulties, but
It happens. There you
that's
go.
not going to it's not going to make such a bad thing. And then I'm just going to grab a little bit of the sauce here. I am going to drizzle the sauce.
Ooh la la.
over them. And
Look at that, people. What's this you're putting on top? The basil?
this is actually parsley, and then now a little bit of the basil.
Mm.
And this one I didn't use any spice, but if you like spice, by all means.
Red pepper flakes, y'all. That's what I'd be putting on top. I love red pepper.
And let me actually move this out of the way. And this is the end product.
Look at that.
And I'm actually going to taste a little bit of this.
Hold on, before you take a bite, let's check in with Adrian. Adrian, is yours done too? Alice is.
No, mine is not done. I messed up. So I'm now putting my peppers in my sauce to start to saute or cook down.
Okay. It will take just a few minutes.
Yeah, what was the issue? What happened? What went
I
wrong?
forgot to put the basil and the parsley in the mix, the stuffing mix. So I'd stuffed the peppers and I forgot to put the basil and the parsley. So I took all the stuffing out the peppers, added the basil and the parsley, and now I'm putting them back in.
There we go. That's not a big mess up. That's
It's
easy.
not, yeah, you were able to correct it. And let's say you forgot altogether, you could have sprinkled it on top as well.
Exactly. You didn't have to take it all the way out to do it
Mhm.
again. You could have just sprinkled it on top and it would be delicious. There you go for being thorough. Okay. So yours is going in the oven now or on the stovetop now? Yeah?
Yes, just covered it.
All right. So Gretel, go ahead and taste a bite of yours.
Okay, let me actually move it over here.
It does look beautiful and yummy. Thank you, everybody.
These peppers are cooked to my liking. They have a bite to them. They're not mushy.
Not mushy, yeah.
Mhm.
That's how I like them too, Gretel.
Mhm.
Nice. And what about the
Yeah.
quinoa? What's the
The
texture?
quinoa- Let me actually.
Oh, yeah, sorry. Swallow. Swallow. Eat.
The quinoa also is We have all the flavors to get mixed in.
Mhm.
And then with the sauce, actually this little part right here where the quinoa fell into the sauce,
Mm.
that is so tasty.
No.
And as you can see, the tomatoes have their form, which is what I wanted. I didn't want the tomatoes to kind of lose their shaping there. You see some of the carrots here.
Mhm.
And the quinoa is still firm. It's not mushy either. Everything is really good. Very delicious. And I hope those of you who are making this recipe, you enjoy it.
Yeah, definitely. You have to let us know how it comes out.
As you saw, I serve it with a little salad. You can serve it with whatever you think it goes with it.
Yeah. Lean said she's gonna have it with avocado.
Oh, perfect.
Yeah.
I should have thought of that.
Delicious. People are clapping for you. Deborah says, gorgeous. Thanks for the guidance on the menu and for the techniques. Beautiful,
Thank you.
yummy, ooh la la, delish looking. All the stuff that's in the chat right now. And wait, Alice says tasting with you. Does that mean you made it, Alice? Text or come off mute so we can hear you. Did you make it? Are you eating it? Or are you just saying you're tasting? Like, you made it. Oh, you made it before. Yeah. Evelyn says, great presentation. Thank you so much. Welcome, everybody. Thank you for joining us. Thank you for engaging with us in all the ways that you do. Really great to have you and be with you. Bye,
Have a
everybody.
good night, everyone. Take care.